Hey guys, this is Russ, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. Now, this is a surprise episode because me and Neek actually originally recorded an episode on the similar topic. This is literally being recorded probably like this is like 7 hours before this is supposed to be released. So this is gonna be short and simple, and it's just me. And it's because we had an episode on we titled "Not Being Led by Anger." And the reason why we decided not to release that one, even though it did actually accidentally release for like 3 hours, don't know what happened there. But we did delete it. And the reason why is because we recorded that episode weeks ago. I think we recorded that episode like January 2nd, January 1st. And with everything that's going on currently in the political climate, it felt very insensitive because the main focus of the episode was talking about not allowing anger to control you to the point that you become reckless. And even though in that episode we said multiple times, multiple times, like, hey, anger actually gets shits done. We're not saying don't have anger. We're saying use your anger smartly and wield it wisely. And we still stand by that. And I'm going to talk about that today. However, given everything that's going on with our country politically, it felt like it could come off possibly insensitive because right now, a lot of us are fucking angry. A lot of us are fucking angry. And no one wants to hear, hey, be careful with your anger with all the bullshit that's happening now. And so me and Nick had a conversation and we decided, like, yeah, let's pull that. This is not the time. Because though that was mostly about personal things, we did actually talk on more political things. And again, it was still the same tone. Y'all know us. Everybody on this podcast is a social worker. Everybody on this podcast, the cornerstone of our beliefs is social justice. And so it was nothing crazy or anything like that. But because it was so lighthearted and there was a lot of us laughing and so forth, we were just aware that, this could come off wrong given the climate. And so Nick unfortunately wasn't able to hop on the mic with me literally a couple hours before we have to send this out to the masses. But we agreed that we wanted to just kind of make sure we say a short message, still talking about anger, but making sure it matches everything that is happening now. Because when me and Nick recorded the episode weeks ago about not being led by anger, it was light. There was a lot of jokes. It was very much of like, yeah, I used to turn up, but this is how I regulate myself now. And there was political context in there as well too. However, it was not to the mid level of what like we have going on now. And this moment feels so much heavier. And when I went back to listen to it, it didn't feel like bad intent, but it did feel like bad timing. And I want to make sure that we are always very clear. We do not see this moment as a joke. We are not about minimizing what is happening, and we are not asking people to be passive or calm themselves into silence. That is not at all what any one of us stands for. But one of the things that we really talked about the show American Gods, we started off that episode, we were talking about how in one of the episodes, the god Anisi in that shows had this quote where he said he told slaves that were being taken across the Atlantic to the Americas, and he told them, anger get shit done. And it portrayed a scene where the slaves on that boat overturned the crew and they burned that shit down. And in the scene, it shows the slaves rebelling against the crew of the ship and them overthrowing the ship and burning that ship down. And I told her how much I love that scene and how much I always remember that quote that like anger get shit done because it does. And we still stand by that. But the purpose of that episode was to say, but being blindly led by anger is exactly what systems of power want. It's how they can manipulate us. It's how it can get us in a frenzy where nothing actually gets done. We just create chaos. And so they are able to then use our chaos for the reasons to do the things that they do. And here's the thing, they're going to do the things that they do regardless, right? They don't need us to do chaos. And so that's not the focus, but the focus is, yeah, be angry, but let's be smart with our anger. Just because we allow the feelings of anger to take forth does not mean we should leave behind things like calculation Observation, pattern recognition, and timing with us, and combining that with the anger and not just chaos. Essentially, what we're saying is, yeah, it's okay to be angry, but let anger be our fuel, not the steering wheel. Let anger wake the people up. Let anger mobilize. Let anger break denials. But a reminder to allow our anger to be managed and not chaotic and short sighted. Because chaotic and short sighted anger is easily manipulated. And right now, manipulation is a big part of their point. And I'm so proud of us because a lot of us are not going for it. A lot of us see what is happening and we're not falling for the jump fake. But people are angry. People are angry because the harm that is being done right now is real, because the violence is real, because the fear is real, and because silence gets weaponized. And it's not irrational to be angry right now. This is not imagined harm. This is not people being dramatic or sensitive. Anger is a healthy response to injustice. But again, the problem is not anger. The problem is what happens when anger is hijacked. And this isn't being said because we're like, oh, you guys, this is what we're doing bad on us. No, no, no. Excellent jobs all around. Actually, let's do more. But this is just a reminder as we go forth to not allow them to hijack our anger. Right now, propaganda is being heavily used. And if you are anyone who reads a bit about propaganda, who reads a bit about history, who reads a little bit about just what's going on, you would know propaganda has always been a part of this country. It's always been heavily used. Sometimes propaganda looks like minimization. Oh, it's not that bad. You know, it's only for these people. Sometimes it looks like distraction. And that is, ooh, don't watch what's going over there. Let's look at what's going over here. Sometimes it can look like exhaustion, where it's thing after thing after thing. And so you are too exhausted to care. Right now, the message being pushed is it's not that bad and that nobody is doing anything. Resistance is pointless. You are alone. Everyone has given up. And this is the new way of life, and you should be afraid. But that is not true. This message is very strategic. They are trying to drop morale. They want people to stop organizing. Because when morale drops, people stop paying attention. People start feeling hopeless. People stop resisting because they think, well, there's nothing I can do. When morale drops, anger turns inwards instead of outwards. That's how power maintains itself without having to convince you that it's right. It just convinces you that resistance is useless. That's why it's important to diversify where you get information from. Guys, unfortunately, the main media is not that reliable. Ours isn't. You gotta go and look at foreign media. You gotta go look at social media. You gotta go and diversify who you're getting your information from. That's why it's important to follow local advocates, mutual aid groups, organizers, not just the mainstream headlines, because things are happening. They're not being amplified, but there's things happening. People are getting out. People are protesting. People are organizing. People are doing things. Not Congress. Fuck them. They're not. You got me there. They're not really doing much. But the people are. And this is where Anisi's quote really lives. That again, anger gets shit done. But again, only when it's intentional. Unintentional anger looks like burning out fast, lashing out the wrong people, letting your anger turn into infighting, letting your anger turn into numbness, risking yourself with no plan and no support. Intentional anger looks like strategies to sustainability, community, clear targets, clear goals. One creates chaos that benefits the system. The other one creates pressure that forces change. And that is the type of anger that if you're going to have anger, that's the type you need to have. And that's the type you need to use. And I know a lot of us are feeling hopeless. A lot of us feeling frustrated. A lot of us are like, where do I go? What do I do? What is the point? Do I need to just say this? And I just want to tell you, take a second to ground. Here's the thing. There are marches. And if you can get out to the march and you want to do the march and you're able to do the march, do the marches. But Not everybody can do the marches, and that's okay. Hell, even today, myself, I was trying to figure out information and was struggling to get the information I need for my city. And so it's okay. Not everybody can march. If you can, do. But there are other ways to help. There are other ways to show I am showing resistance and I want to create change. Some people can organize, create grassroots, figure out what the needs are, get the information out to the people, set up stations, and so that we have a central place of information, of knowledge. That is important too. Some people can send money to help bail folks out of jail. That is important too. Some people can donate supplies, organize transportation, repost information, document what's happened, check in on families. If you know you have a neighbor or someone who might be targeted by ICE, if all you can do is go to the store and get their groceries for them so they can minimize the amount of time they have to be out in public when they are at risk, that is important and that is help too. Can educate. Some of us can protect families and can protect the kids and the elders. All of it's important and all of it matters. The system wants you to believe that if you're not doing everything, you're doing nothing, and that is a lie. Movements survive because people do different roles, not because everyone does the same thing. So do what you can. Do it consistently. Do it without shame. That is anger and used intentionally. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times when anger happens, there is destruction. History shows that. But there is a difference between destruction that creates leverage and destruction that just creates headlines. If something breaks, let it be something that forces change. Let it be something that exposes the truth. Let it be something that shifts power, not destruction that just burns energy and leaves people hurt and helpless. Look, I'm not willing to promote anger has to be clean. It doesn't. But let our anger be purposeful. Let it be intentional. Let it be anger that shifts the energy for the people to protect the people. Anger is not the enemy. Apathy is not the goal. But anger without intention becomes a tool for the very system we're trying to dismantle. So we're saying be angry, stay woke, stay informed, stay connected. But most importantly, don't let anybody convince you that nothing is being done or that there's nothing you can do that matters. So, a reminder, this is not a call to calm down. This is not a call to be polite. This is not a call that says patiently wait while harm continues. This is a call to be deliberate because history shows us that anger moves the needle, but only when it's paired with clarity, strategy, and community. Don't let anyone convince you that your anger makes you irrational, but also don't let anyone convince you that chaos is the same thing as change. You're not here to burn out for a moment just so you can get out some emotional relief. We're here to apply pressure until something shifts. Because again, anger gets shit done, but intention decides what actually gets done. Now, I'm closing out this episode because, again, I had already had something preset out for this week. I got something preset out for next week and the week after that. We might definitely have to change how we're doing the podcast because while we still always want to be bringing stuff where we're talking about matters that help you heal in a way that doesn't feel like you're being lectured at by your therapist, but it still provides you those nuggets of truth and of healing. At the end of the day, again, we are all social workers and we still plan to have the focus be healing, but we are not living in a vacuum. We understand all the things that are going on, and we are right there with you. And we are feeling the same feelings with you guys. And we are also trying to lead with intention. Now, that's all I have for today's episode. Like and follow us wherever you're listening, leaving a review, leave a review with words, and you'll hear the sound of our voice next week. Bye.